All praises to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and peace to everyone joining me on this program. This is the Fountain of Israel's Bible Studies program, and as always, it's an honor for me to stand before you on the Lord's holy Sabbath day. Now, we're going to go ahead and jump into this lesson, and this is a back to basics lesson, right? This is one of those lessons where, like, you maybe you're new to the faith, maybe you wanted to check out what is this Israelite thing, this Hebrew thing, this Messianic Hebrew. What is this? Okay, I've been in church, my whole life. I heard this, I heard that. Okay, I just got into this whole thing. I just discovered, our identity and our history. What do we do next? Okay, now, one of the things we have to understand is that the law still stands, right? So that's one of the biggest things that that's one of the key takeaways. Now, I know a lot of people, they love the idea of, who the true Israelites are, who Israel is, being part of his chosen people, things like that. People, they like that, right? But what we have to understand is that his law, his covenant, his commandments, all that still stands. Because the biggest trick that has ever been played on the church or the assembly is that his laws are done away with. And a lot of times they even go so far as to say they're done away through Christ. They'll say he did it. They are rationalized. They'll say the all too familiar refrain of, well, he knew we couldn't do it, so Christ came to do it for us, and now we don't have to do it anymore, right? Sounds cute. However, when we break it down, when we really look into it, that argument just does not stand up to scrutiny. It just doesn't work, okay? Because when we say, the law, it's a big all-encompassing thing. And they start thinking, all these things we can't do, and they start making it very, very impractical, right? Now, I'm not saying any of us are perfect, but what I am saying is that if you just take some of the little nuggets, some of the things, okay, instead of stealing, is it possible for you not to steal for someone? Because you're saying basically that since Christ came and did not steal for you, now you can go steal. Because they tell you real quick, well, we don't have to keep the law, right? Doesn't make sense. Simply doesn't stand up to scrutiny. So let's look at it. The law actually still stands because one is his law is forever. The other thing is that the way the Bible describes the law, it's the perfect law of liberty. It's holy and it's just and it's good. All these different things. It's a light unto my feet, okay? It's a lamp. It's all these different things. It's truth. So why would it need to be done away with it? Why does it have to be gone? How about you just not steal? How about you just not bear false witness? How about you just not commit adultery? How about that? How about those things? Why should he change his standard? But let's get back into what people normally say. Let's get back into the scriptures. Let's look at the law and I'm going to show you through the Bible that it still stands today. Okay? How it's ratified may have changed, but it still stands today because it's an agreement. It's a covenant. So with that, we are going to go to where we find the commandments. Okay, and that's Shemot or Exodus. I'll be reading from the scriptures. Exodus 20. And we're going to start at verse 1 and we'll look at it. We'll go all the way to like 17. So let's take a look at it from the scriptures version. And Elohim spoke all these words saying, I am Yah. And I'm shortening the Yahweh because some people say Yahweh, Yahuwah, things like that. I'm just shortening it to Yah because we can agree on that. Some people say Ahaya. I don't quibble over that, right? So I just shorten it to Yah so we're all on the same page. And Elohim spoke all these words saying, I am Yah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of slavery. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of that which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow down to them nor serve them, for I, Yah, your Elohim, am a jealous El, visiting the crookedness of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing loving commitment to thousands, to those who love me and guard my commands. Guard my commands. Let's continue. You do not bring the name of Yah, your Elohim, to naught. For Yah does not leave the one unpunished who brings his name to naught. Remember the Sabbath day to set it apart. 6 days you labor and shall do all your work. But the 7th day is a Sabbath of Yah, your Elohim. You do not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yah made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Therefore, Yah blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart. Respect your father and your mother, so that your days are prolonged upon the soil which Yah, your Elohim, is giving you. You do not murder, right? This is the proper rendering, not thou shalt not kill. Okay, we see a lot of killing. All killing is not murder. You do not murder. You do not commit adultery. You do not steal. You do not bear false witness against your neighbor. You do not covet your neighbor's house. You do not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. You don't covet any of that. Don't be a hater. If they got it, hey, be happy for them. And if you want something like that, go get your own, right? That's really all that is, right? So we have these commandments. Now, let me ask you something. What is wrong with these commandments? Is this still a good idea? Oh, well, we're not in our land. Okay, so since I'm not in Israel, it's okay to commit adultery? So if you're new, and I'm talking to those who may be new to it, just now trying to figure this whole Hebrew thing out, right? This whole Messianic Hebrew thing, trying to figure it out. Okay, don't be deceived. Let no man deceive you, okay? It's echoing the words of the Messiah. Let no man deceive you. So just keep that in mind, okay? So that's what they will attempt to do. So we're going to go to Leviticus. Leviticus 22. Wahikra, or Leviticus 22. And I'm going to read verse 31, which reads, and you shall guard my commands and do them. I am Yah. So we're going to guard them. We're going to do them. We're going to protect them. We're supposed to feel something for this law. Why? Because this is the covenant. This is the will of the Father. This is what he wants for us, right? And it's the will of the Messiah as well. Okay, he tells you the same thing. Okay, this is their will. So this is the covenant. This is the document. This is what our forefathers. This is what they signed up for, and we need to still guard these commands. And we'll get to all that. We still need to guard them, have respect for them. It's just like us when you're listening right now on a Sabbath day. We should be doing what? Reading our Bible, meditating on His Word, talking to our family, talking to our wives, talking to our children. Teaching them, going over when you look at a lesson, talk about it. What were some of the takeaways there? Okay, because my wife and I, we can talk for an hour just talking about Bible stuff. Sometimes, and it just breaks out spontaneously. Sometimes, okay. Sometimes we plan it out, but sometimes it just pops out and we get to talking, right? So you meditate on this word, relax. Okay, we don't do a whole lot of stuff. Okay, we don't do a whole lot. Okay, that's just an idea of like guarding the Sabbath, right? It's supposed to be all about that rest and that relaxation and that meditation, and just do things that bring you to a level of peace while you meditate on the Most High Yah, right? So just giving you an idea, we have to guard that, okay? So now we are going to go over to Dabarim, or Deuteronomy 4. We're going to be in there a couple times. So I'm going to go to Deuteronomy or Dabarim 4. Because I got a couple of places I want to go to here. Okay, now this lesson is really for, the new people, so that they understand this law is important and is still valid. Okay, so Dabarim or Deuteronomy 4. Just so you know, this is being read out of the Scriptures version of the Bible. I typically read out of the King James. I still do. I did not throw away my King James. Don't worry. I just want to change it up a little bit for you guys. Okay, so Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 1 says this. And now, O Israel, listen to the laws and the right rulings which I am teaching you to do, so that you live and shall go in and possess the land which Yah Elohim of your fathers is giving you. Do not add to the word which I command you, and do not take away from it, so as to guard the commands of Yah your Elohim, which I am commanding you. Your eyes have seen what Yah did at Baal Peor, and Yah your Elohim has destroyed from your midst all the men who followed Baal Peor. But you, who are clinging to Yah your Elohim, are alive today, every one of you. He's saying, look. You saw what happened to them. Because you guard my commands, you lived, right? Verse 5. See, I have taught you laws and right rulings, as Yah my Elohim commanded me to do thus in the land which you go to possess. So he's saying, look, I taught you these commands, this law, this righteous and holy law, right? I've taught you these things and you live by them. That's what it means. But you're going to have someone who wants to come in and just take you away from that. Have someone who just want to roll in and be like, well, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to do that. That is a lie, okay? It makes no sense. It does not stand up to scrutiny. Now let's keep going. We're going to go on over to Deuteronomy chapter 5. And when we get to 5, I'm going to read 20. I'm going to start at 25. In 25 it says, and now, why should we die? For this great fire is consuming us. As we hear the voice of Yah our Elohim anymore, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh who has heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking from the midst of the fire as we have, and does live? Like, man, we're gonna die. This is too powerful for us, right? 27. You go near and hear all that Yah our Elohim says, and speak to us all that Yah our Elohim says to you, and we shall hear and do it. Look at what they did. They agreed to it, right? And 27. 28. And Yah heard the voice of your words when you spoke to me, and Yah said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken to you. They have done well in all that they have spoken. Oh, that they have such a heart in them to fear me, and to what? Guard all my commands always, so that it might be well with them and their children forever. Okay, what I want you to grasp, right? I want you to get the gravitas of the situation, like how big of a deal it is. Right now, it's just willy-nilly. Most of us, we have a willy-nilly attitude towards his law, right? It's no big deal. Why? Because when we break one, nothing happens immediately. Although it could happen, right? And there are some cases where something may happen immediately, right? But for the most part, it doesn't happen immediately. And so people think that the Most High, our Elohim, is slack, right? Or not paying attention, or we're not aware, okay? And not realizing all that is the grace. But you don't want to frustrate grace. You don't want to do that. Because there is a time where grace runs out. Go read my lesson, when probation closed, right? Probation. Go look at that lesson about probation closed, when grace runs out. Okay? So we're gonna go ahead and continue. I am in Deuteronomy or Dabarim 6, okay, and I'm gonna start at 15 on that one, right? And he says, for Yah your Elohim is a jealous El in your midst, lest the displeasure of Yah your Elohim burn against you, then he shall destroy you from the face of the earth. Do not try Yah your Elohim as you tried him in Massah. Diligently guard the commands of Yah your Elohim and his witnesses and his laws which he has commanded you. You see what I'm saying? Don't try him. Don't test him. Don't play. This is immensely important. Immensely important. And when we work our way through to like the New Testament, we're going to see nothing really changed. Not a whole lot has changed. As far as still obeying these commandments, as far as getting into contract, getting back into a covenant, that's what this new covenant, Old Testament or covenant, the original covenant or the original testament and the renewed covenant or the renewed testament, right? That's just really all it is, renewed. But the law is the same. Okay, and I'm talking about sacrificial laws. That has changed, but not a whole lot has changed. The law itself. I'm not talking about the penalties of the law. The wages of sin is death. That hadn't changed. But the sacrificial of slaying an animal, a clean animal that is, slaying a clean animal for that has changed. But everything else still intact. Let's keep looking. Okay, we read over to 17, so we're going to go over to Joshua or Yehoshua, chapter 22. I only want one verse from there. Okay, Yehoshua or Joshua 22, same name as the Messiah. 22 and verse 5, which reads, "Only diligently guard to do the command of the Torah which Moshe, the servant of Yah, commanded you, to love Yah, your Elohim, and to walk in all his ways, and to guard his commands, and to cling to him, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your being." This is what our ancestors signed up for. That's what they signed up for. This is what we're talking about, right? So why am I emphasizing this, right? I'm emphasizing this because this is where it begins. Because without this, without the Torah, without this covenant, and without the Messiah, you have nothing. It's really that simple. You need this. You can't say, "Oh, I got Messiah, forget that old law. I don't have nothing to do with that law. The Messiah separated me from that law," or whatever. Then you got nothing. You got nothing. Because it means you have no agreement whatsoever. You have no agreement. You want all the benefits and none of the responsibilities. It doesn't work like that, brothers and sisters. It does not. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, we're going to go to Tehillim or Psalm 78. Okay. Okay, we're going to go to Tehillim or Psalm 78. Okay, and then I'm going to read 5 through 8. And it says, "For he raised a witness in Jacob, and he set a Torah in Israel, which he commanded our fathers to teach them to their children, that it might be known to a generation to come, to children who would be born, to rise up and relate them to their children." Look at what's being said here, brothers and sisters. Look, did you see this? Did you hear this? And in 7, "And place their trust in Elohim, and not forget the works of El, but watch over his commands. And not be like their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation which did not prepare its hearts, whose spirit was not steadfast to El." You see, this is what I'm saying. We're supposed to be more steadfast in the Most High, more than our ancestors. We're descendants, right? We're supposed to be more so guard and cling to the laws. We're supposed to be more so sober when it comes to this Torah. More than our ancestors. Now, if I'm honest, we can't say that's exactly what's happening today. We can't say that. If anything, we've gotten worse. Way worse. But there's a few people who are serious today. There's a few people who are serious. They take it to heart. And they know and they realize, what got us in trouble in the first place was breaking this covenant. That's how we got in trouble. That's how all the curses have fallen. They realize that, so now they take it a little more serious. Now, of course, the outside world, the unawakened world, would think that they're crazy, kooks, fanatics, part of cults and things like that. And all you're trying to do is obey your L. That's all you're trying to do. How does it hurt someone that you're just trying to be obedient to your God, to your Elohim? That's all you're trying to do. But the world won't understand. You have to get that by now, that the rest of the world is not going to understand that. I know we got to go out into the world and we got to work and we got to, in some respects, socialize and things like that, because we got to work, we got to do things, make things happen or whatever, so that we can survive, and then we can bring it back to our own homes, our own homesteads, or whatever we're doing. Bring back, the necessities, the things that we need, right? I understand we have to deal with people who do not believe. You're surrounded every day, okay, by that. Unless you live way out in the middle of nowhere. But you're surrounded by people who don't believe every single day. And they're going to think that you are absolutely mad. That you have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to think that these laws still apply. Now, obviously, you might have some naysayers watching the video or something, and they're going to be bringing up these other laws that obviously do not apply, Levitical priesthood laws, things like that. Some of those civil law or laws that has to do with Jerusalem and stuff like that, right? They're gonna be like, okay, well, what about? Of course, you can't keep it, okay? And then some of the punishments. We're not sovereign in our land, so we cannot stone someone to death and things like that. But I'm talking about the moral laws. The moral laws. They're going to ask you. They'll say, well, if all the laws are still good or still in effect, well, what about? And they try to do one that's pretty, like sacrificial, right? Oh, you don't kill a lamb, do a sacrifice. We do the laws that are. Well, which laws do you keep? Do you keep all the laws? I answered someone before. They asked me that. I said the ones that apply. What do you mean? Well, they have some laws that is just for the Levitical priesthood. I don't do any of those. I don't know if I'm a Levite. I don't know that. I can't say that with certainty. I don't do any sacrificial laws. I don't kill, slay goats and on an altar or anything like that. I'm not in Jerusalem. There are penalty type laws where you do this and you get stoned to death. I don't stone anyone to death. Does not apply. We're not sovereign. We're not in our own land. We don't have a Sanhedrin. We don't. So many things to where I can't do that. But morally, can I avoid stealing from you? Can I avoid committing adultery with your wife? Can I avoid bearing false witness against you? Can I avoid that? Are some of those things possible? Because we got to remember, some of our prophets were in captivity and was still considered righteous. Now, did they keep everything all perfect and everything? No, they couldn't. But they did what they could, and the Lord was still with them because they were still trying to be obedient. They still prayed. They still tried to keep the Sabbath. They tried to do anything that they could possibly do. They tried to do it, and they were in captivity. Anybody heard of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Anybody heard of Daniel? They were in captivity. You go to the Apocrypha, they were in captivity, and they were still trying to keep the Sabbath, trying to keep the dietary law. They were still trying to, in captivity. But here are some butter muffins out here today. I mean, you try to just make things plain. You try to make it plain and just for some reason, the wheel is spinning, but the hamster is dead. I don't know what they're thinking. The moral law still stands. Let's continue. We're still in Psalms. We're still in Tehillim, which is chapter 103. Let's go over there. Let's keep going. 103, and I'm reading 15 through 18. 15 says this: a man's days are like grass, as a flower of the field, so he flourishes. For the wind blows over it, and it is no more, and its place no longer remembers it. But the loving commitment of El, or Yah, is from everlasting to everlasting upon those who fear him, and his righteousness to children's children, to children's children. 18. To those who guard his what? Covenant and to those who remember his orders to do them. To do them. So please, I'm asking you, if you're kind of new, I'm asking you, don't let someone come in and take it from you. Take this idea. It still stands. And don't worry, we're going to get into the renewed covenant as well. We're going to get there. I'm walking you forward through the Bible, right? We're going to get there. Okay. Let's go to Psalm 119 or Tehillim 119. I'm walking you through it. Okay. And we get to 119. I just want one verse. 115. Okay. It says what? Turn away from me, ye evildoers, for I observe the commands of my Elohim. See, this is David. You know what? You guys can go on down the road with all that. I'm not trying to hear that, because I'm trying to keep the commandments of my God, of my Elohim. You see what I'm saying? You see that we can have that. You can have that same attitude. You can have that same heart. It's up to you and I if we choose to guard his commands. But we're gonna keep going, okay? Because we got to get to it. We have got to get to it. We got to get serious, and we can't let someone come in and rob us. Because when you have someone talk to you and say things like this doesn't matter, this doesn't count, and all of that, when you have that going on, I'll tell you right now what they're trying to do. They're trying to steal from you. They're trying to steal from you. Okay? Jeremiah. Okay? Jeremiah. Jeremiah. I'm going to chapter 31. Okay? 31. And I'm going to read verse 31. Verse 31 to 34. 31, it says, see, the days are coming, declares Yah, when I shall make a renewed, look at that, what he says, a renewed covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah. Not like the covenant I made with their fathers in the day when I strengthened their hand to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim, my covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them, declares Yah. For this is the covenant I shall make with the house of Israel after those days, declares Yah. I shall put my Torah in their inward parts and write it on their hearts. And I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people, right? And so I'm going to read 34 as well. And no longer shall they teach each one his neighbors and each one his brother, saying, know Yah. For they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, declares Yah. For I shall forgive their crookedness and remember their sin no more. Hallelujah. Listen, he's just saying because he'll be there, he'll be present, Messiah, he'll come back and all that. He'll be here, be present. Won't be no more fighting, arguing, bickering, and finding out what's right, what's not, right? All that's going to be all settled and figured out. And that's why no one, Israel won't need to teach Israel. And Israel might need to teach the Gentiles, but Israel won't need to teach Israel because Israel's going to know they're in covenant. Okay? They're in covenant. Okay? He's going to teach his what? Torah, his covenant. He's going to have a renewed covenant. This is what we're talking about here. Okay? That's why I'm reading it out of the scripture just to give you a slightly different take. Just a slightly little different take. Okay? Now, as I said, not a whole lot has changed, right? I said, not a whole lot has changed. We did Jeremiah 31:31. Now let's go to Hebrews or Ibrim, right? So we're going to go to Ibrim or Hebrews, and we're going to go to chapter 8. Why? Because not a lot has changed, okay? Let's go to chapter 8. Now, in 8, I'm going to start at 1, and we're going to go on over to all the way up to 8. So Hebrews or Ibrim 8. And verse 1 says, now the summary of what we are saying is, we have such a high priest who is seated at the right hand of the throne of the greatness in heavens. Okay, so we have an advocate. We have the Messiah. Let's see if anything changed. And who serves in the set apart place and of the true tent, which Yah set up and not man. Okay. For every high priest is appointed to offer both the gifts and slaughters. So it was necessary for this one to have some what to offer. For if indeed we were on earth, if indeed he were on earth, he would not be a priest, since there are priests who offer the gifts according to the Torah, who serve a copy and shadow of the heavenly, as Moshe was warned when he was about to make the tent. For he said, see that you make all according to the pattern shown you on the mountain. But now he has obtained a more excellent service, inasmuch as he is also mediator of a better covenant, which was constituted on better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then no place would have been sought for a second, a renewed covenant. If had they not broke the first one, we wouldn't need the second one. Okay? Now verse 8. Finding fault with them, the Israelites, not the law, not the covenant. Finding fault with the people, because they broke it. Finding fault with them, he says, see, the days are coming, says Yah, when I shall conclude with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah a renewed covenant. Again, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Mitzrayim, because they did not continue in my covenant. And I disregarded them, says Yah. They just not, which they break my covenant. They break, right? They discontinued out of the covenant. Because this is the covenant that I shall make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yah, giving my laws in their mind. Oh, the laws done away with? No, we're in the renewed covenant, right? We're in the New Testament, right? We're in the New Testament. So why are we still talking about keeping the law, right? They're bringing it right back up where we just pulled it from in Jeremiah, right? So it's still there. Why are we still talking about it? Okay, when we say took him by the hand, let me go back to 10. Because this is the covenant that I shall make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yah, giving my laws in their mind, and I shall write them in their hearts, and I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And if we continue, it's the same thing that we were talking about, right? But that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. We'll go ahead and continue. Verse 11. And they shall by no means teach each one his neighbor and each one his brother, saying, know Yah, because they all shall know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, because I shall forgive their unrighteousness and their sins and their lawlessness. I shall no longer remember. Right? Same thing, right? Same thing. The author of Hebrews right here, drew from Jeremiah 31. Now, for those of you that are new now, those who've been around a while, you already know this. So those who are kind of new or whatever, brothers and sisters, if you're new, what did the prophets, well, the New Testament apostles, the taught ones, what did the disciples use when they spoke with each other if they were teaching someone? Did they just collect all the New Testament writings and just taught from there? Or did they teach from the law and the prophets? Just keep that in mind. What did they teach from? So it's perfectly normal for the author of Hebrews right here to draw from the scriptures, because the Tanakh, that is the scriptures. Now, I have no problem with the New Testament or the New Covenant. I'm just saying that's gospels and letters, right? And then the vision with revelation, but that's not scriptures. Now, I can say they're scriptures loosely, but you know what I mean. Technically, they're the letters. They're the gospels. They're the letters. There's a revelation. But I think the whole Bible is scriptures, but you get what I'm saying. Technically, the Tanakh and Torah, that's scriptures. Let's continue. So we're going to go ahead and go to, let's just see if anything changed. Now, speaking of gospels, that's where we're going next. Let's go to Matthew, which is Matthew. And I'm going to go to chapter 5 because we just want to see if anything changed. Remember, I'm talking to new people, okay? We just want to see if anything changed. Matthew 5, and we're going to go to 17. It says what? Now, this is the Messiah, okay? All right? This is Yeshua. This is him speaking. He said, do not, 17, do not think that I come to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete, right? Or fulfill, right? Or complete. I just come to do it. Okay, now he didn't say I come to do it so you don't have to do it. Didn't say that, right? For truly I say to you, till the heaven and earth pass away, one yod or one tittle, that's one jot or one tittle, one yod or one tittle shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done. So I'm going to ask you, is everything done? Okay, we'll get back to that in just a second. Whosoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men to do so. So I'm not going to teach you not to keep it. I'm telling you to keep it. Now this is from the Messiah, right? And teaches men so shall be the least in the reign of the heavens, all right, in the kingdom of heaven. But watch this. But whosoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the reign of heaven, right? That's what I'm looking for, right? But let's see, what does that least is right here? For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall by no means enter into the reign of the heavens. So you don't get in. Unless your righteousness, because remember what he called the scribes and the scribes and the Pharisees, right? Hypocrites, right? They say one thing, they do something else, right? So unless your righteousness is better than that of a hypocrite, you got to be better than that of a hypocrite, okay? For instance, I can't say don't commit murder and yet I go murder somebody, right? You got to be better than that. You got to don't murder anybody. You have to do better than that. You have to not commit murder and not even be angry with your brother without a cause. Okay, he put a little something on it. He put a little extra on it. I mean, same thing, right? So yeah, I mean, he didn't add. Well, he didn't add. He just said, okay, don't murder, don't think about it. You know what I'm saying? That's it. So that's it. It didn't change anything. He amplified it. He turned the volume up. The same song, it's just a little louder. Okay, so we're going to keep going. We are in Matthew or Matthew, and we're still going to go up to chapter 19. Okay? 19. And we're going to read 16 and 17. 16. And see, one came and said to him, good teacher, what shall I do to have everlasting life? Is that not the $1 million question? Now, this is from the Messiah. This is the $1 million question that I have, you have, and everybody else who's seeking everlasting life, right? And look at what he says, all right? So I'm starting over here in 16. Now look at what he says. 17. And he said unto him, why do you call me good? No one is good except one, Elohim, okay? Talking about the Father. And that's because he said that because he's down here in the flesh, right? So it's not really a perfect flesh, right? That kind of thing. It's capable, okay, of crookedness. It's capable of sinning, right? The flesh, right? The flesh is weak. Not that he sinned. Let me just make that clear. Yeshua did not sin, okay? I'm just saying he's not in a perfect form yet, okay? He did have a body that could die, right? So I'll just put it like that at the time. So he asked him about, the everlasting life. And he said, you know what? He said, why call me good? No one is good except one, Elohim. But if you wish to enter into life, guard the command. So you have your answer. The Messiah is telling you himself. If you want everlasting life, if you want immortality, if you want to get into the kingdom, guard the commands. Okay? Guard the commands. All right, so we did that to 17. He answered the questions, okay? And then he goes back to the 10 commandments and all, and obviously there's more commandments than that, but you get my point. He answered the question. He answered the $1 million question, and yet, and I know you're gonna have some deceivers out there and say, oh, well, he hadn't died yet or whatever. He didn't say any of this. Oh, but when I die later on, don't worry about it. He didn't attach an addendum to it. Then I have another question. We should not see any talk about keeping the commandments after the Gospels are over, right? We should not hear any of that stuff. And yet we do. We shouldn't, because after that, died, rose again, ascended up to heaven. That's it. And he never said, okay, don't worry. You see I done died. You see I'm finna go in Acts 1. Okay, now I'm going to go on up to the Father. Don't worry about them commandments. I got you covered. Didn't say any of that. We shouldn't be reading in Romans 13 that is done away with. And he's like, owe no man not anything. And he start running down the last 6 of the 10 commandments. Which is only love thy neighbor as thyself, right? That's how you love your neighbor, right? We shouldn't hear about that. But yet we do. We shouldn't hear about as his custom was or as his manner was. He go into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, stood up for to read. We shouldn't be hearing stuff like that, but yet we do. We shouldn't hear about Paul later on. And we see what his manner was after the Messiah already ascended. We shouldn't hear about him going on the Sabbath day. Oh, well, that's what the Jews did. Oh, yeah, I know. And then they're going to teach them something else. How does the Most High Elohim of Israel, how is that going to be a fair and just God? And then at the same time, you say he's not a respecter of persons. But yet I have to keep the Sabbath, but no one else does. I need to avoid eating pork, but everybody else can. That doesn't... Unequal scales, unequal balances. That doesn't make any sense. Wheels still spinning, hamster long dead. Let's go to John or Yohanan, right? John 14. Going over here to John 14, because this is John 14, and we're going to go to 12. John 14, 12. And Yeshua, having found a young donkey, sat on it, and as it has been written, do not fear, daughter of Zion. See, your sovereign is coming, sitting on a colt of a donkey. Right. So now he's fulfilling prophecy, but let's keep going. Okay, hold on. I'm in 12. I'm sorry. Let me go to 14. Forgive me for that one. All right, chapter 14, verse 12. Okay, now I'm in my right spot. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me, now we're entering in the Messianic age. He who believes in me, the works that I do, he shall do also. And greater works than these he shall do, because I go to my Father. And whatsoever you ask in my name, that I shall do, in order that the Father might be esteemed in the Son. If you ask whatever in my name, I shall do it. Right? Now, those are the people who believe. Okay? Now, he says in 15, if you love me, you shall guard my commandments. Yeah, we're not supposed to. We don't have to keep the other commands. We got to keep Christ's commandments. You're going to hear some malarkey with that. We're supposed to keep Christ's commandments. Really? So Christ just has all his own his own agenda, his own doctrine, his own law, all that, right? That just circumvents the Father's, right? Let's see about that. Okay? Let's go back to chapter 7, same book, Yochanan or John, chapter 7. Same book, and we're going to read 16, okay? 16, what is it? He said, Yeshua answered them and said, my teaching is not mine, but his who sent me. We can pause right there. So what did he change if everything he gets is coming from the Father? Did we not see, or can we not go to the Old Testament and see where angels or emissaries or messengers would speak to the people or speak to a prophet, and it sounds like it sounds like the Father is speaking in first person, right? So the same thing. So even when Yeshua, when Christ, when he says something, it's coming from the Father, right? So what he said over in John is 16 and 19. Okay, so in 16. Again, he says, Yeshua answered them and said, my teaching is not mine, but his who sent me. If anyone desires to do his desire, he shall know concerning the teaching, whether it is from Elohim or whether I speak from myself. Now, he said, everything I'm saying, everything I'm teaching, it comes from the Father. Okay, that's where it's coming from. I'm not just making it up on a whim, right? But we're not done. We're going to go ahead and proceed. John 6:38. What does 38 says? It says, because I have come down out of the heaven, not to do my own desire or my own will, but the desire of him who sent me. So you say, oh, well, you know, I'm going to follow Christ. Okay, but everything he's telling you is from the Father. He's going to do what the Father desires him to do. Let's continue over to 2 Peter. Okay? Or Kepha. Okay? Or Kepha Bet. Or 2 Peter. And we're going to go to chapter 2 and we're going to read the first 3. But there also came to be false prophets among the people, as also among you there shall be false teachers, which I'm telling you to watch out for, who shall secretly bring in destructive heresies and deny the master who brought them, bringing swift destruction on themselves. And many shall follow their destructive ways, because of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. Oh, he's talking about keeping all them laws. We don't have to do that. They're putting you under bondage. They're trying to oppress you. Jesus came to come free you from that. No, Jesus. Don't listen to them. Those are the damnable heresies that the Bible's talking about. That you don't have to have a covenant or an agreement. You don't have to guard his commands. You don't have to do anything. Those are those damnable heresies, right? Verse 3. And in greed with fabricated words, they shall use you for gain. From of old, their judgment does not linger and their destruction does not slumber. Meaning they're going to get what's coming to them. The false teachers teaching you wrong. That's basically what it means. That they're going to get what's coming to them. That's what's going to happen. Okay. That's what's coming along. Okay. So we're going to keep going. Okay. We're going to keep going. Let's go to Romans or Romayim chapter 2. Chapter 2. I'm going to read verse 13. Where it says, for not the hearers of the Torah are righteous in the sight of Elohim, but the doers of Torah shall be declared right. Doers. Why? Okay, we're in Romans. Why is Paul talking like that? Now, don't give me the, well, you know, no man by the Torah, no man should be justified. That's all be explained, okay? When we're talking about the Torah alone, if we look at you, we stand you next to the Torah, did you keep everything perfectly? No. Did I keep them all? No. But that's what he's talking about there. What we're talking about here is that now you're in the covenant, and guess what else you need? You need the Messiah, because he's your advocate. He's at the right hand of the Father. He also sacrificed his blood. That sacrifice, you know, without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sin. So he shed that blood, right? So you have to all of that. But you cannot just go out and just be reckless. You can't just go out and just be wild out there. You can't be out there wilding and thinking that you can just do whatever you want and he's just going to cover that. You have no respect for the sacrifice. You heard this idea of willful sinning, right? Willfully sin. You know it's wrong. And yet, I'm just going to, Doesn't work like that, brothers and sisters. Let's continue because we still have some more to cover. Again, if it's done away with, why is he talking like this? Okay, let's go to John 14. Let's go to John 14, chapter 14, and we're going to read one verse. I'm going to read verse 21, which reads, he who possesses my commands and guards them, it is he who loves me. And he who loves me shall be loved by the Father, and I shall love him and manifest myself to him. Only those who guard his commands love him. Oh, I love Jesus. Oh, I love the Father. I love Yah. I love God, right? All that. This is how he recognizes whether or not you love him. Do you guard his commandment? Let me hit that one more time. Okay. 21. He who possesses my commands and guards them, it is he who loves me. And he who loves me shall be loved by my Father. What else do you need to hear, brothers and sisters? And I shall love him and manifest myself to him. What else do you need to hear? What else do you need to know? Because this is what he's saying, right? This is not my words. This is what he's saying. This is how he processes that love. Oh, I know sometimes we can get all emotional. We can get touchy-feely and all that. Okay, that's fine. But guess what? That better not be your guide. Okay? That is just a thermometer. That is not a thermostat. You get in here, you read exactly what his head says, get practical, and guard his commands. He respects that. He says, okay, they're obeying and guard my commands. That person loves me. That's how the Messiah and how the Father, that's how they view that. That's how they view that. Just because you can whimper and snot and cry and all that, lay on the floor and bawl and all that's cool. But that's not going to cut it. That's okay. That's cool. You feel some type of way, but you better get to the business of guarding those commands too. Oh, I broke into somebody's house, or I robbed the store, or blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Guess what? You probably better cut it out. You probably better stop. Can't be a career thief and serve the Most High. For example, let's keep going. I hope it's starting to. Because some people they don't want it. Some people don't want to hear what's being said right now. Because their conscience is being pricked. They don't want to hear. Don't want to hear about this law stuff. I don't want to do that. We ain't got to do that. Oh my! You got to be kidding me. I don't want to do that. I'm free from that. Okay, cool. Let's go to Mishle, or Proverbs 28. In Proverbs 28, in verse 9, it says this. He who turns away his ear from hearing the Torah, even his prayers, is an abomination. So all those people out there, if you don't want to hear the law, the Most High doesn't want to hear your prayers. You're in a bit of a pickle at this point, right? You're in a bit of a quandary at this point, aren't you? Those who don't want to hear it. Those who turn their ear away from hearing the Torah, you don't want to have nothing to do with it. Your prayers are abominable. Not my opinion. Your prayers are abominable. So, I'm begging you, do not let someone come to you and take this away from you. As you can see, we're harmonizing old and new, nothing has changed. We got a Messiah that it was prophesied that we were going to have a Messiah. Otherwise, why would people in the first century go looking for a Messiah? That's another lesson. Let's keep going. We're going to go over to Yochanan Aleph, or 1 John. Okay. Yochanan Aleph, or 1 John chapter 2. All right. Now let me get these first 7 verses here. Chapter 2, it says, "My little children, I write this to you, so that you do not sin." Look at that. What is the definition of sin, right? For this is sin. But what is the definition? I'll let you guys go do your homework. "And if anyone sins, we have an intercessor with the Father, Yeshua, Messiah, a righteous one. And he himself is an atoning sacrifice for our sins. and not for ours only, but also for all the world. Let me pause just for a second. Okay, so we don't have to keep any law, but yet the first thing he says in the line is that I'm writing to you so you don't sin. I'll let that marinate. Verse 3. And by this we know that we know him if we what? Guard his commandments. So those who say they know the Messiah, that they know Christ. Oh, I love Jesus and we don't got to keep the law. The only way you know that they know that person is that they actually saying, yeah, I do guard his commandments. That's the only way you're going to know, right? Verse 4. The one who says, I know him and does not guard his commands is a liar and the truth is not in him. This is well after Christ already ascended. He's already back at the right hand. He also said that in the first 2 verses of this chapter. He also said, so he's already ascended. He's already at the right hand. John said, I'm writing you so that you don't sin. I thought you don't have to keep the law, that you don't sin. But if you do have an intercessor, right? You do have an advocate. And then he goes even further. Just in these first 4 verses, he goes even further to say, okay, now, the one who say they know him and don't want to keep the commandments, they're a liar. Oh, we ain't got to do that. They're a liar. Now, did I say it or did you just read that with me? Let's continue. Verse 5. But whosoever guards his word, truly the love of Elohim has been perfected in him. By this we know that we are in him. The one who says he stays in him ought himself also to walk even as he walked. You're supposed to, like Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. You're supposed to be doing the same thing that Christ did. Did Christ go around just doing whatever he wanted all willy-nilly, or did he guard his Father's commands? Simple question. Okay? Did he go and guard his Father's commands? Now verse 7, beloved, I write no fresh commandment to you, but an old command which you have had from the beginning. The old command is the word which you heard from the beginning. Are we getting it? I hope you are picking up on what's going on here. Now I want to start to finish up a little bit here. Okay, so we're still in there. Let's go to chapter 3. Okay, we're still in 1 John chapter 3. I'm going to start at 20 real quick. And go ahead and finish this out for you guys. Starting at verse 20. That if our heart condemns us, Elohim is greater than our heart and knows all. Beloved ones, if our heart does not condemn us, we have boldness toward Elohim. And whatever we ask, we receive from him because we guard his commands and do what is pleasing in his sight. So if you're a commandment keeper, then you can have assurance. You can be brave. You can be bold in having a request or petition to the Most High through the Messiah. It's cool because you guard his commands. Yeah, you may have fallen, you may have stumbled, messed up, okay, but you don't make a practice of sin. You don't do that. You don't think it's all willy-nilly. You don't willfully just sin, oh, it's no big deal, we ain't got to keep it anyway. That's not the attitude you have, right? So you don't have the attitude, you actually want to guard his commands, then you're free to ask him for things. Right? You're free to ask him for things. Keep it in mind, he's not a genie in a bottle. Keep that in mind. Okay? He says, and 22, and whatever we ask, we receive from him because we guard his commands and do what is pleasing in his sight. Because we do what is pleasing in his sight. It's very, very key, right? Very, 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 very key. And this is his command, that we should believe in the name of his son, Yeshua Messiah, and love one another as he gave us command. How did he tell us to love one another? So now you got the Torah and the Messiah. Believe in his son. Trust in the S-O-N. Look at Psalm chapter 2. Trust in his son. Okay. And guard his commands. Okay. Because that's where we're going to get our salvation from. And 24, and the one guarding his commands stays in him and he in him. And by this we know that that he stays in us by the Spirit which he gave us. We're not done. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go to same book. We're going to go to chapter 5. We're going to read 2 and 3. What is this? He says, by this we know that we love the children of Elohim when we love Elohim and what? Guard his commands. How we know we're the children of the Most High? Because we guard his commands. These are the identifying marks. This is the only way you know. People can talk all they want, but this is the acid test. Watch their fruit or watch how they talk about those commandments. That's all you need to know. Okay? That's all you need. This is the litmus test. That's all you need to know. Okay? We're going to keep going. 2 and 3. Okay? Read 2 one more time. He said, by this we know that we love the children of Elohim when we love Elohim and guard his commands. For this is the love of Elohim, that we guard his commands, and his commands are not heavy, not grievous, not burdensome. And what have you been taught before? It's too hard, it's too many, you can't do it. Beware of these people. These are false prophets. These are false prophets. And some of them know, but since they want to continue in their sin, because if they're teaching, they're going to have to act right. They're going to have to get into ship shape, right? They're going to have to shape up. What I was trying to say. They're going to have to shape up. But you'll know them by their fruit. You will know them by their fruit. Let's go ahead. Our last couple and then we're going to get out of here, right? I got 3 more verses and we're done. So let's go on over to okay. I'm going to go to Revelation and I'm going to go to 12. Let's go to 12. Okay, Hazan or Revelation. Let's go to 12. And when I get to 12, I just want one verse out of that one, which would be 17. 17. Chapter 12. Watch this. He says, and the dragon was enraged. Now we know this is for a time to come, right? And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to fight with the remnant of her seed. Who are these people? Those guarding the commands of Elohim and possessing the witness of Yeshua, Messiah. Look who he's going after. Commandment keepers. Guardians of the law. Guardians of the Torah. Those who guard his commands. That's who he's mad at in the last days. We're talking about Revelation, right? We're going to go one more. We're going to go to 14. Now, 14, I'm going to go to verse 12. And it says this. Here is the endurance of the set apart ones. Here are those, what? Guarding the commands of Elohim and the belief of Yeshua. This is what it means to be a Messianic Hebrew. That's how you're going to know who belongs to him. Those who are guarding his commands. Not those who are, they happen to die. Because guess what? I mean, there's a lot of martyrs. Those who are guarding their commands while they can. Those who are refusing to go the way of the world. Those who still think that, those who still call evil evil and good good and not get it twisted. Those are the people. That's how you know. But again, in the end of the book, we're still talking about his commandments. I thought they were done away with. None of this has happened yet. Revelation, this hasn't happened yet. So, what are we doing? What are we doing? Now I'll take you to the front of the book, to the back of the book. Nothing has changed. With those commandments. Oh, well, we don't have to sacrifice. Well, Messiah's been sacrificed now. He's referred to as a lamb, right? So, okay. Brothers and sisters, Don't let these people come and deceive you. Don't do it. I caution you not to do it. I caution you not to do it. Let's continue here. I want to go to my last place, right? This is the final place that we're going to go to. Ecclesiastes, right? Koheleth, or Ecclesiastes. And I'm going to go to chapter 12, and I'm going to read verse 13. And let us hear the conclusion of the entire matter. Fear Elohim and guard his commands, for this applies to all mankind. This is the duty of man. This is what's best for everyone. The law still stands, brothers and sisters. The law still stands, Israel. If you knew, I want you to take this lesson to heart and realize that there are people out there who want to take this from you. And they think, they'll say to you that someone is trying to put you under that law, when in actuality, they're trying to take you from the covenant. I hope someone has gotten something from this letter. I hope someone has been edified. So, until next time, search the scriptures and prove all things. Shalom, Israel.